Hello everyone, Danny here today to talk to you about the audiobook Dungeon Born, written by Dakota Krout, narrated by Vikas Adam. This is a book that I actually got like 6 months to a year ago. Listened to maybe 20 minutes of it, was bored silly, returned the book to Audible. And now, 6 months, a year later, rather than being bored, I'm like in seventh heaven. I love this book. There's several reasons why my view of the book has changed. Before I get into that, though, I have a favor to ask. If, like me, you love audiobooks or even books in general, please subscribe to my channel. Come join me in my audiobook journey. Now, when I first got this book, I didn't know about lit RPG. I didn't understand lit RPG. I hadn't been introduced to it yet. When I'm not a gamer in the sense of role-playing games. I love board games, Monopoly, Risk, card games, dice games, I love Magic the Gathering. But role-playing games, I've never had the opportunity, the experience of playing them. I was introduced to my first lit RPG book and told, hey, it was a subscriber said, hey, I think you'll like this, especially if you're a gamer. I was like, well, I'm not a gamer, but I'll give it a try. And it opened this whole new world up to me. So many different avenues and options for authors to pursue. This book is an example of that. Without lit RPG, what author in their right mind would think, hey, I'm going to write a book about a hole in the ground, and not about, what happens within the hole in the ground. No, I am going to write a book about the growth of that hole in the ground. Have that book actually be good, because that's what the dungeon is. The dungeon is just a hole in the side of a mountain, right? Well, now that I'm like into lit RPG, and I am, if you looked at my last couple of reviews, I went through a stage that was nothing but lit RPG, and then I said, okay, I'm done. I need to go away. I went away, listened to 3 or 4 other books, posted reviews of a couple of them. There were a couple that I didn't post reviews of, and it wasn't because the books weren't good. It was because I couldn't come up with anything to say about the books. I was like, yeah, that book was good, but it's just like other books in that genre. That's one of the things I love about lit RPG is you get a lot of different styles, a lot of uniqueness between authors. This is an example of that. The book starts off. Now, my son Justin, my nephew Caleb, both listened to this series before me, and they loved it. They said the first book starts off a little slow, but then once it picks up, man, does it pick up. Now, I disagree with them. The book did not start off slow for me. It does not start off with any action really to begin with. You have Cal. He's just been murdered by a bunch of necromancers and put into a beast stone. And then he's dropped. And he slowly becomes aware of himself. Becomes aware of the energy within him, the energy around him, becomes aware of the fact that he can absorb energy, slowly starts to expand his awareness and his intelligence to a certain degree. Then Danny comes into his life, and Danny bonds with him. Danny is a wisp, and a wisp is another form of energy. And Danny starts to kind of help and guide him, and he does things that Danny thinks are impossible, and so he starts to kind of teach her, and she teaches him, and they become a unit, and it's a really, really fun unit, the two of them. But there's a lot of humor in that beginning. In that first part where he's becoming aware, the reason it wasn't slow for me is because I love the humor in it. There was a lot of humor in that introduction. Once he becomes a dungeon and he starts getting explorers, then you get a lot of action. One of the things that I really enjoyed about this, you get 2 parallel stories. So you start off with Cal, and then you reach a point where he's now a full-fledged dungeon, although he's in the beginning stages, and explorers come in and discover him, and you're introduced to Dale. And Dale sees an opportunity, and Dale is wise enough to take advantage of this opportunity. He buys the entire mountain because it's someplace to where it's completely worthless land, and he buys the entire mountain, and it would be like buying all of the land surrounding Disneyland before Disneyland was actually built. And that's how good his foresight is here. He buys the mountain, and then he has to learn, and he has to grow, and he gets mentors, and he gets a team, and he gets teammates. And you have the two parallel stories. You have the dungeon, learning and growing. You get to see combat through the eyes of the dungeon. You have Dale learning and growing. You get to see combat through the eyes of Dale. Have you ever stopped to wonder, why in the world would a dungeon reward people for killing its creatures? What benefit is there to the dungeon to reward people for killing off its creatures, right? Because they do that, right? You kill them off, you get rewards. How does that help out the dungeon? Well, through the interplay of Cal and Danny, you're given some really good reasons why. What's the benefit to me? I mean, Danny's trying to convince Cal, hey, you need to reward these people. Why? That doesn't make sense to me. I'm wasting energy to reward them for killing my creatures. Well, here's the benefit to you. And then Danny gets on board. You get two distinct alien races with two distinct yet similar sets of morals as far as killing goes. You have the dungeon, who is no longer human and doesn't remember being human, and instead loves the taste of the energy from humans, loves killing. Same time, doesn't come across as a monster, does not come across as evil, actually comes across as someone that you really like and you really enjoy. You have Danny, who, kind of starts off innocent, not really wanting to kill a lot of things, to advancing into becoming some form of a warrior. And you get to see them progress side by side. You get to see the view from both eyes, and it's a great way to do the book. There's no adult material. Well, okay, let me clarify that. There is some adult humor in it, but the adult humor is so subtly done that you've got to be an adult and have a good enough understanding of the world to catch it. Someone younger, someone innocent, wouldn't even realize that they're missing out on something. At least I don't think so. I could have listened to this from my boys when they were very little, and parts of the book that had me rolling on the ground laughing might have had them going, I don't get why that's so funny, Daddy. But they wouldn't have realized, okay, this is actually supposed to be something like adult behind it. Cal goes to the city, and he has experiences in the city, and there is a point where his experience in the city, you're kind of like, uh-oh, is something coming? Do I need to cover my kids' ears? It's not what you think it is, which is part of what makes it so incredibly funny. It's something completely different. No foul language. This is the third Dakota Krout book that I've listened to, I believe. And there's never been any foul language in any of his books. He has characters in his books who use foul language, but he always finds a way to edit and avoid the foul language. Either they get interrupted as they're about to swear, and you as an adult realize, oh, this is what they were going to say, or someone else is translating for them and says something along the lines of, hey, I'm going to edit this down to keep it clean because you don't need to actually hear what this guy is really truly saying, kind of a thing. And so he edits out. So as far as language goes, sex goes, it's safe. Violence-wise, it's a lit RPG. You have a lot of battles. You have a lot of violence. None of it is done in a graphic gore fest kind of a way. It's all done in a gaming kind of a way. Now, I don't know if you'd actually call this book a lit RPG book. It has all of the elements of lit RPG, but nobody is being drawn into a game. This is best as I can tell, a real world scenario. Same time, this might not be a real world scenario because Dakota Krout's other series, which is definitely a lit RPG series, a guy gets pulled into a game, Joe, that's his name. I can think of the name of the second book, which I just finished, Regicide. I can't think of the name of the first book, though. But Joe gets pulled into this gaming world, and at the end of the book, the world introduces itself as Cal, which is also the name of the dungeon. So that makes me curious. Are the two tied together like I truly believe they are? And Cal is going to end up becoming the game that Joe gets pulled into? Could the two series even end up merging at some point in time? Only time will tell. Uses the same narrator that he used for that first series, and I wish I could think of the name of it, but I can't anyhow. Uses the same narrator, Vikas Adam, which is excellent. I love Vikas Adam as a narrator. He really does an excellent job. I'm excited to be back with Lit RPG. Now, I'm excited that I'm, right back into a really good author, really good narrator, really good series, lots of humor, lots of action, lots of really fascinating kind of interactions. If you like this video, please hit the like button. If you like my channel, subscribe. Turn on notifications. Questions, comments, feedback, it's what the comment section's for. Put them in there. But most importantly, no matter what else you do today, make sure that today you listen to at least one really good audiobook. And I most definitely recommend Dungeonborn by Dakota Krout. Thank you. Have a great day.